right, I guess we can go ahead and get started. We're sitting at about 101, so we'll get this thing cranked up. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you joining us today. My name is BJ Lusk, Regional Sales Manager for TAC Insight. This is actually the second part of the Viewpoint webinar series that we're hosting in conjunction with Viewpoint. The title of this webinar series is Digitizing Your Construction Material Sales. Now, in the first webinar that we did, we covered Fastway as a whole. So we talked about Fastway and all the different aspects of Fastway. And you can actually see that webinar if you go to our YouTube page and search for TAC Insight, TAC INSIGHT. You'll see our YouTube page, and there's a lot of videos there, but you'll be able to see the webinar that we did a couple of weeks ago we're talking about digitizing your construction material sales. The webinar today, part 2, is actually digitizing your construction material sales and then integrating with Viewpoint Spectrum. And I'm joined today by Steve Rasmussen, a partner here at TAC Insight. In just a few minutes, he's going to introduce himself, and he's actually going to be driving the demo and showing us how we can integrate with Spectrum. So we do have a Viewpoint strategic partnership, and Viewpoint has various levels of integration partners, and we are fortunate enough to be on that top level of integration partners. We're really proud of the relationship we have, and we really appreciate Viewpoint and everything that they do for the construction materials industry. If you have a question today, you're going to be able to ask a question at any point you want to. Just click on that Q&A button, ask those questions. We will try to answer those at the end of the webinar. If we see one that really pertains to something we're talking about, we may just go ahead and answer that question right then. But for the most part, we're going to hold off and answer those questions at the end. But feel free at any time you want to go ahead and ask those questions and get them submitted. So I want to talk a little bit about Fastway for some people, and I realize some people on this webinar may not know hardly anything about Fastway. So I want to talk just briefly about who Fastway is. Fastway is a cloud-based scale ticketing and bulk material management system. So I used to be a customer of Fastway. I worked for a construction company that had a few quarries down here in Alabama, and we used Fastway. We also used a Viewpoint product, but we used Fastway, and it totally revolutionized the way we did our business. And one of the things that I really loved about it was the one integrated platform. A lot of times we say Fastway is vertically integrated, and you'll see that when we start doing the demo, you'll be able to see all the different modules that we offer across the top of the web portal. But things such as ticketing. So yes, we can do your ticketing. Your finance and accounting. Steve's going to show you the billing here in a little bit and how that works with Spectrum. Dispatching. So if you need to dispatch your trucks, tell your trucks where to go, and maybe even track those trucks, we can do that with our system. We have a full suite of web and mobile applications. Business analytics. So yes, we do have reporting, but at the same time, we offer analytics through Microsoft Power BI. So if you really like charts and graphs and you want to really drill down into that information, we offer those business analytics tools. E-ticketing, Fastway's digital to begin with. So the e-ticketing thing just comes naturally to us. And then other third-party integrations. I think we just did an integration with a tax service. So, with us having the APIs and being cloud-based like we are, we really can integrate with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. So one of the things that we like to say, maybe it's our mantra or whatever you want to call it, we really want to transform material sales. And how do we do that? We do that by digitizing the construction materials industry. So how do we do that? Well, we do that by bringing producers, haulers, contractors, DOT personnel into one single ecosystem. Okay, you see the little graph right there, or not graph, you see the little picture right there, and you can see that cloud. Well, that's Fastway. We are the cloud system, and we're getting all this other information from the scale house, from mobile apps out in the field, truck drivers having apps in their phones and different things like that. We're getting third-party integrations. We're getting all this information into the cloud. We want to be, and we are, that one single solution, that single ecosystem that everybody can come to see their information. And then obviously too, when we talk about Viewpoint Spectrum, we integrate seamlessly. We have our APIs. Spectrum has their APIs and web services that make that communication very, very easy. So before we get into the demo, I do want to show you this little picture right here to kind of maybe help things make sense a little bit better. So you talk about Spectrum, and you guys using Spectrum, you're really familiar with it. But when you put your customers in Spectrum, when you put your products, jobs, phases, and all that stuff, you put it in Spectrum, and then we can talk to Spectrum and pull that information down into Fastway. So now that you have it in Fastway, you can do what you need to do: create tickets, all that good stuff, control the pricing in Fastway, do all of that information, do your billing, create your invoices, and then we can push that information back up to Spectrum, whether it be directly through to AR, job costing, material management. If you want to use that, we can do all of that good information. Plus, we can also add a customer in Fastway and push that back to Spectrum. So it's a bi-directional integration. Stuff from Spectrum goes down to Fastway. Stuff from Fastway goes back up to Spectrum. It's really a very, very unique and very powerful integration that we have. Okay, so now we've come to the time for the product demo, and I'm going to turn things over to Steve Rasmussen now. He's going to take over from here and do the demo for everybody.
All right. Thank you, BJ. Let me get things queued up here. So I'm going to minimize this PowerPoint. We'll come back to this at the end. So for those of you that are first time seeing Fastway, kind of what I'm showing you here is kind of our dashboard where all the data gets accumulated. So as you have multiple, you may have multiple queries or mobile ticketing devices, all the data is going to flow up to here. This is your management site. But in this demo, I'm going to strictly focus on the details of how we've built out the integration with Spectrum specifically. So my experience with Spectrum goes way back to 1999. So I was just like BJ, he was a Fastway customer. I was a Fastway customer way back in 1999. I was also a Spectrum customer back at the same time. That was caught up in a Y2K conversion. So I've got lots of years under my belt working with Spectrum specifically. So when we built this platform, one of the first things we thought about was we wanted to be tightly coupled with these construction accounting packages, and Spectrum was really the first package we integrated with and built specific integration for. So I'm going to kind of walk through how that's all gets wired up, kind of start at the plumbing level, and then work our way up towards creating transactions like job requisitions and AR invoices and things like that. So I'm going to jump into our settings area. So this is an admin area. So those of you that are already Spectrum companies out there, you're familiar with Spectrum Data Exchange. You'll see here, this is where we wire up what's our IP of our Spectrum server, what's our authorization ID to hit that server, web service APIs, things like company codes, some of the GL settings, that all gets set up in here. And then further, those of you that are familiar with Spectrum cost centers, for those newer customers after cost centers came out, our concept of a cost center is a region. And then we have a concept of locations, which in Spectrum they call warehouses. But since we wanted to kind of make it more material centric, we called it locations, and then yards. So we can set up various cost centers at any one of these levels. So in this case, I'm setting up my AR cost center for posting invoices into Spectrum at the location level, but we have the flexibility to do it also at the yard level or at the region level. So when you configure the system, depending on how you guys want to operate, we'll first look at the yard. Then if there's no cost center that exists, we'll look up to the location. If it doesn't exist there, we'll look to the region. So complete flexibility on how that all gets configured and how you operate your business. So then what I'm going to kind of jump to next is setting up products in Fastway. So with our product setup, we can reach into Spectrum inventory and bring in those inventory items directly from Spectrum. So in this case, I've got a lot of products already set up. And so what we have is a global product list. And then over here, you set up locations and we have pricing templates. And I'm not going to get into the details of how to set all this up, that you can reach out to BJ or set up a more personalized demo to see some of the details behind how all the product and default pricing templates get set up. But what I do want to show you is when I click on the Spectrum product button there, and then I put in a Spectrum category. So in this case, I put MAT for materials, hit the refresh button. It's going to go say, well, hey, these two products are set up in Spectrum, but they're not set up in Fastway. So I'm going to go ahead and just assign them a category in Fastway, and I'm going to bring them over, and now it's going to push those up. And so now back over here, when I go to product setup, I should have 57 stone, and I think the other one was DOT base. So I've set up those two products. Now I can set up my pricing templates and everything behind that. So that's one integration point. The other integration point on kind of the resource level is at the customer level. So as BJ showed on his slide, we can integrate with customers and jobs. So in this case, we can, same thing, if you want to set up all your customers in Spectrum and then bring them into Fastway, I can do that by using the little Spectrum customer button here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that button. It's going to go reach out to Spectrum and give me a list of all the customers that are in Spectrum but don't exist in Fastway. So here I can just select them all, bring them all in, and it's going to update those customers in our system. So you don't have to set up customers in both areas. Also, in addition, if you do updates to customers, so let's say you update an address or a contact name or a phone number, we can also update those. So I can say, hey, I want to go select all my customers in Fastway because I've made some address changes in Spectrum, and I can apply those changes in our system. So no longer do you have to go type in those updates in one system and apply them in another system. So that's one way we interface with Spectrum customers. And then if I go back here, the other option is from our customer setup screen, and this can be turned on or turned off depending on how you want to set things up. I can go ahead and say new spec, and I'm going to say new Spectrum customer is the name of the business, and I'm going to say I'm on Spectrum Drive, and they're based out of, well, I'll put they're originally out of Seattle, so I'll put Seattle, Washington, and I don't know the zip, but I'll make one up. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug in the variables. There's other things you can set up here, tax codes, and then when I hit the update button here, I've created that new customer in our system. But what I want to show you now is over in Spectrum. Let's go to accounts receivable, and let's go to where you'd set up a customer in Spectrum, and let's just search Spectrum now, and you'll notice that customer, new Spectrum customer, has been set up in Spectrum. So full bidirectional setup. If you want to turn that feature off, you can turn it off, but we have the capability. A lot of our customers want to kind of, because things like quotes, new proposals get driven from the scale house or from the material side, they want to be able to set up the customer on the Fastway side and push them to Spectrum. So that's setting up kind of those resource area things. The next thing I want to show you is on our orders or job management. So let's talk about the world of job requisition. So Spectrum has the concept of you have a material selling division or a material sales group, and then you have a job, a piece of the company that executes the jobs. Let's say it's an asphalt plant, and then somebody is doing the paving, another division is doing the paving. So we have a concept of being able to do job requisitions and charging material to a Spectrum job. So in that case, as BJ showed in that one slide, we can validate the with the Spectrum jobs and the Spectrum phases. So I want to show you that real quick. So in this case, I brought up this job number 2, or in our system, order number 2, Santa Rosa High School. So I'm going to go ahead and click on here, and I'm going to filter down to the test company in Spectrum. So you'll notice here I've got EC 1903 is my job number. I'm going to pick that. And then I'm applying that as a job requisition order in Fastway. And then once I've picked that job, because it's a job requisition, I'm going to validate against the phases against that same job. So notice here, I get a list, a complete list of all the phases available on the Santa Rosa job, but I'm going to limit my list to just what I want to make available in the Fastway system. So what's relevant in material sales will maybe just underground conduit. So all my M cost types for material, I've checked the box and only made those available. So then when I get down to the actual products in Fastway that are set up, I can, validate and only select from that filtered list of phase codes. So all fully integrated, fully validated with Spectrum along the ways. And now, so from that, I'm going to jump over to our ticketing screen. So let me jump over to the ticketing screen, and let's just walk against, this is what would run inside the scale house. And I'm going to pick so I'm going to ticket a truck with some material, and I'm going to pick that Santa Rosa job, and I'm going to go ahead and just pick a product here. And notice here, I've got my phase and cost type options. So you have the flexibility to say, hey, I don't want the scale house operator to pick a phase and cost type, so I can limit and shut these values off on the ticketing side, or I can allow him to reassign. So maybe instead of going to phase code 30, he's going to set it to phase code 50. So you have that flexibility to override the phase code at the scale house or turn that off. So I'm going to go ahead and ticket that. In this case, I've got image capture set up. I've got my weigh indicator down here of 63,760 pounds, and I'm going to generate that job requisition ticket. And boom, it's printed that ticket. So now back here at the ticketing side, that system has uploaded that to our management portal. I've got a new ticket for that job. And so here we are collecting all of our data from the various scale devices that are out in the field, or mobile devices, whether you're doing mobile ticketing. We even can do ticketing from the driver side. So we have customers that use our in-cab mobile app to do ticketing. So a lot of flexibility. So now let's talk about what's our next step with these tickets. Okay, we've accumulated job requisition tickets. We also have accumulated maybe AR customer sales tickets. So my next step is I'm going to go over to billing. Okay, and let's go ahead and choose all of our tickets for the month. Let's just say we want to go, I'm going to pick this region or cost center, and then I'm going to pick just that Santa Rosa High School order. And then notice here, I've got different order types. So these are job requisition tickets on that Santa Rosa job. So I'm going to change my type to just job requisition. So I don't want to commingle what I'm processing up to Spectrum. I'm going to kind of do it independently, do my AR tickets in one batch and my job requisitions in another batch. So in this case, I'm going to do my job rec tickets. I'm going to query it out. I've got 9 tickets here. I can expand this and look at, what's on that. What have I sent to the job? What's my pricing? How much am I charging my job? I can even drill down to the ticket level. But in this demo, because we're short on time, I'm just going to go ahead and batch these up. I'll just call it job rec, and I'll put SR 2 for Santa Rosa, and I'm going to assign that a batch. Okay, so now over here, I've got a type job requisition, And so now I'm going to go ahead and just take that and let's export those to Spectrum. So in this case, I'm going to just in your case, you may want to charge the material sale company might be one company and the job cost company might be another company. So you can cross companies here. In this case, I'm just going to pick the same Spectrum company, export uh, export those tickets. Hopefully this won't fail. There we go. And there they are. So now I'm going to open up a new sitemap in Spectrum. And so in Spectrum, those go into inventory control, data entry, job requisition. So now I'm going to go look at my batch codes. I should have a batch. There it is, JRSR2. I'm going to go look at that. I'm going to pull up my requisition. And here are all my material tickets and all my material sales against that job, charging and setting up all those things I set up for department codes and GL accounts got posted appropriately, my phase code, my cost type. So that's real quick, down and dirty, how to process job requisitions between Fastway and Spectrum. Now you can still do it the traditional way. So those of you that may use material management in Spectrum, you can export, import files. So we can provide you that same file format that goes from Fastway to Spectrum. This kind of just cuts down the steps, makes it kind of easy without having to have those extra steps involved. So the other thing I'm going to show you now is just like on the job requisition, we can switch this to AR sales. So let's say we sell material to third-party customers in Spectrum. So I'm going to go out and just hit the query button and see who we've sold material to. So in this demo, I've got, you know, from July 1st to July 21st. I've got here all these tickets. So I've sold some to Cash. I've sold some to the Sandbox Company, City of Bothell, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I can drill in. I can kind of validate my pricing here, see if there's anything that needs to be updated. I can update pricing, check all that off here prior to creating my batch and sending that to Spectrum. So now I'm going to go ahead and just call this AR. I'll call it July 1. So I'm going to give it a batch name and assign that. And so now same thing as job requisition. So now I've got to type AR customer and it's still not exported to Spectrum. What I can do now, so on the AR side, typically you're going to want to either print these and mail those to a customer or potentially email those to the customer. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and print these invoices for you and see what we get. So let's go ahead and open up that print job. So here we've formatted that those set of tickets. So we're going to send ticket level detail back to the customer, Eastland Construction, and we're going to provide you ticket number. And these are highly customizable. All the information pertaining to what the customer purchased, summarized at the bottom. Nice clean invoice for material sales here. If they're doing multiple products on an invoice, we can break those down, give them summaries by product, and then a grand total at the bottom. So, and then in addition to printing, we can also fire off that email and email those tickets out to the customer directly. So real simple, easy to process, print the invoices. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and just send those. In this case, I've got it configured to do direct AR billing. So I'm going to go ahead and just export those to my AR system and create a bunch of an AR batch in Spectrum. So I'll go ahead and hit the export button. Export successful. I'm going to hop over to Spectrum. Now I'm going to go to accounts receivable because I'm doing AR billings. I'm going to go into customer invoices and I should have a new batch here. So there's my batch right there, I think. Oh no, this one, AR July. I got too many batches in here. So I got to pull that batch up here. Then I'm going to drill in and I'm going to see my 5 invoices that I created. I can go in and look at some of those invoices here, and we're going to break down it by product, by freight, all the various components that make up that total value, handle all the taxes, handle the cost center setup and GL account as far as the revenue side of the transaction. So that's kind of stepping through the kind of the integration, eliminating some of the material management components that provide, give you a lot of extra steps to process AR invoices, and kind of show you a different way to do it because of the direct seamless integration we have with Fastway and Spectrum. And then we also, so those same invoices, notice I sent those, you can send those out to the customer. So in this case, I emailed them, that goes to the customer. My email was set up as one of these customers. So here it is, that same email form got sent to the customer, and seamless integration. So I'm going to back out and hand it back to BJ to wrap up. I know we're limited here to 30 minutes. So let me pull my PowerPoint back up. I'm going to go back here, and BJ, I'm going to let you wrap up and finish things from here.
All right, appreciate it, Steve. Good job on that demo. I always like listening to Steve on the demos because I'm always looking for little nuggets of information that I can learn from him. So it's always good to have him do these demos for us. So, Fastway, and I talked about it before, being a customer and how much I love Fastway. Fastway is just so unique. It's different. Okay, the industry doesn't have anything like it right now, and you can see this graphic right here. Gene did a great job making this graphic for us. It really explains what Fastway can do. Fastway is the centralized data management place. Okay, we call it a web portal. Everything lives there. We can push information out. We can pull information in. It's just really a unique tool. No more servers or hardware are required. All you really need is a computer. I mean, that really, at the end of the day, if you've got a computer, you can use Fastway to do everything that you need. Okay, no database license. Updates, we push all the updates to you, so there's no scheduling downtime to try to do your updates or anything like that. It's basically like it is a website. You go to the website, if we've done updates, you've got all those updates there. Okay, we really work with the IT people within the company to streamline the IT support footprint. Okay, so we're not trying to take an IT person's job away. We're actually freeing them up to do other things within the company that are really beneficial that maybe they don't have time to do because they're having to, work on the servers or the hardware that's associated with the scale ticketing software. We take all that burden on for you, really help you to streamline your IT processes. You know, in some cases, we can also too eliminate the CapEx. All right, so you've got that CapEx money. So we turn it from a CapEx to operational costs. So that's really beneficial for somebody. So some people in some situations, and we can do that being the way that we structure the things and how we structure it the way we do. So moving your operations to the cloud is very simple. I know when I talk to prospects and they're always asking the question, well, so how hard is the implementation process? How long does it take? What all is involved? It's a really simple process. It's really easy, especially with Spectrum. It's really easy to migrate everything over to Fastway. I mean, obviously you saw how we can pull customers and products down. So that's really a simple process. Implementation can take, we did somebody not too long ago. They said we've got to be going in just a matter of days. I mean, I think they wanted to be done inside 1 week. They hammered down, they worked hard, we worked hard with them, and we got it done. We got everybody implemented and trained, and they got it installed within 1 week. Okay. Now it's a really fast process. We can move as quick as you want to move with the implementation process. We can train you remotely if you want to. Certainly, if the option is to come on site and you want us to do that, we can do that. But the cool thing about it is we can do all of this remotely if that's what you want to do. Basically, you pick a go live date, and then we go from there and really work towards transforming your business. Okay. Looks like we've got a question down there, so I'm going to pop that up. Okay. So they've missed the first webinar, was the mobile app covered there, or will it be covered later in the series? So yes, the first, I'm thinking back, yes, the first webinar did cover the mobile app somewhat. It really depends on what you're talking about with the mobile app, if you're talking about mobile ticketing or just the mobile management app. What we can do is I'll get with you specifically and we'll send you some information on the mobile apps. Some of it was covered, but it may not be exactly what you were looking for, but we can get with you and send you information on the mobile apps. Okay. Any other questions that anybody may have out there? Okay. Well, we're sitting at 1:31. We're 1 minute over the time. We appreciate you joining us today. Just to let you know, next week we're going to do this same thing for Vista, Viewpoint Vista. So if you know anybody that's using Vista and you think that they might benefit from seeing how we can integrate with Vista, just let them know about this webinar that's coming up next Wednesday, July 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Go to our website, our LinkedIn, social media, all that stuff is posted there so you can find the link to the next webinar. Okay, we appreciate everybody joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of the day. And if you need any information, you want to set up a time for a demo, I'd be happy to hop on with you and do that demo for you. Just give us an email, give us a call, and we'll set that up for you. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you.